For the majority of us, death is a sad event that ushers in months of mourning. Others, however, take a more lighthearted approach to the inevitable. You can choose to go the route of bumming everyone out about what they've lost with your departure from this world, or you could find a way to leave everyone you love with one last laugh.
Good night, sweet prince.
Obituaries usually list a person's achievements with some sort of noble approach that skirts over your less fine moments, but they're usually not very fun to read for anyone outside of the deceased's inner circle. And even those people are probably just scanning to make sure they got a mention in the thing anyway. Every once in a while, though, people with one foot in the grave manage to put together something inspired before they kick that bucket.
I want to be buried at sea. It looks like fun.
Define fun.
Come on, you'll make a day of it.
Let's take a look at some of the most hilarious obituaries we've ever read. One Last Confession. As he wrote in his own obituary for the Salt Lake Tribune, Val Patterson's life motto was anything for a laugh, and that includes posthumous confessions of crimes no one ever needed to know about. Turns out Patterson was a downright thief, only his ploys weren't all about diamonds or rare paintings. He wrote, "As it turns out, I am the guy who stole the safe from the Motorview Drive-In back in June 1971. I could have left that unsaid, but I wanted to get it off my chest. Also, I really am not a PhD. In fact, Mr. Patterson never actually graduated college. Instead, it was a clerical error which awarded him with not only a college diploma, but an unearned PhD. Kinda makes you wonder about all the fake nerds lurking around the world, doesn't it?"
Well, now that you point it out...
Are you kidding me?
Oh, and that's not all. Just to spite a mean park ranger, the man once rolled rocks on top of a geyser to be a jerk and managed to get banned from both Disney World and SeaWorld. Now that's a life story worth reading about. Now we're just sad because he's not around to tell us more. The Coffin Quarterback. Ohio native Scott E. Ensminger spent his life cheering for the Cleveland Browns, and like many of his fellow fans, he has enjoyed a lot of disappointment as a result of that allegiance.
Just saying it out loud feels dirty.
So when he was nearing the red zone in his own time on the field, he decided to pull out a trick play against his own squad. Before Ensminger's death in 2013, the Browns had endured a solid losing streak for decades, with one random good season plopped in every 7 years or so. So this man's final wish was to have 6 players from the Cleveland Browns act as pallbearers for him on the day of his funeral. So in his words, the Browns could let him down one last time. That deserves a targeting penalty for sure. Of course, the Browns did their worst to shame him right back by offering his widow a lousy jersey for all their troubles. The Joker. There are few people who had the privilege of playing the role of Batman, but how many real people are known to have been killed by Batman? For one, there's Stephen Merrill. His obituary lists the cause of death as an uppercut from Batman. First of all, if this were true, we'd imagine he'd be totally okay with it, as he was apparently a huge fan of America's beloved fictional superheroes. That detail was really just some stand-in information that his friends and family provided because they initially didn't know what the cause of death was. But what a way to go.
Don't be worried about that. Your tombstone can say whatever you want it to say. It can say, Ross Geller, good at marriage. Mine's gonna say, Phoebe Buffay, buried alive.
Not only did those he left behind color in his obituary by throwing in Batman, but they carried on the theme to the funeral service. Those who attended wore superhero tees, played soundtracks from his favorite superhero movies, and even provided him with a flower arrangement made to look like Captain America's shield. If you want to die the cool way, you've got Stephen Merrill to look for inspiration. Keeping it simple. If there were a prize for the most economic use of an obituary word count, Fargo, North Dakota native Doug Legler would definitely win it.
He came up with it and just said, all I want is Doug died.
That is it. That is literally all the man wanted in his obituary. So why go to the trouble of having 2 words printed at all? It seems that during his lifetime, Doug had a habit of reading obituaries in the paper. He also had a habit of criticizing each and every obit he read. Since he was a man so concerned about the obituaries of strangers during his lifetime, he wanted to give no one the ability to judge him after death.
That's a genius move.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.